In the most basic model, the Earth orbits around the Sun in a circle. Now, what's important to remember about this nice round circle is that it has 4 corners. The name of these 4 corners is solstice, summer and winter, and equinox, fall or autumn and spring. How can a circle have corners? While the Earth is revolving around the Sun, it is also rotating around an axis that runs through the planet. The orientation of that rotation axis is at an angle that is not 90 degrees from the orbital plane. That means that when the sunlight hits the planet, it's not always hitting at the same angle. This orientation here for the northern hemisphere is the winter solstice, when the tilt angle is pointing directly away from the sun. 6 months later, the tilt of the Earth's axis is always pointing in the same direction, but now the Earth has moved so that the sunlight is hitting from the opposite orientation. The tilt of the axis is now towards the sun. For the northern hemisphere, this is summer, solstice. As the Earth orbits the sun, the axis always points in the same direction. So on the summer solstice, for the northern hemisphere, the axis is pointed towards the sun, and the winter solstice is pointed away from the sun. The equinoxes are exactly the middle phase, when the sunlight would be hitting the Earth from the side relative to that rotation axis direction. It is important to note that when the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, the southern hemisphere, of course, is tilted towards. So the seasons are opposite in the northern and southern hemisphere. It is winter solstice at the same moment in the northern hemisphere that it is summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. There are 2 major effects from this change in angle that result in the seasons on Earth. Angle and time. Imagine it's morning time. You've got a long shadow. That sunlight from a low angle is not as intense as in the middle of the day when the sun is hitting you directly from above. The sunlight is less concentrated when it hits from a more oblique angle. Time. As the Earth rotates, the half facing the sun is the daytime, and the half not facing the sun has nighttime. We can see that the tilt of the axis is going to change how much time a person in the northern hemisphere, say Europe, versus a person in the southern hemisphere, say South Africa, is in the daylight. It's a different amount of time.